Isn't Romeo and Juliet the most romantic story on earth?
What's romantic about that?
Oh God, Gasu, they died together. Their love was eternal.
I'll tell you even more romantic story.
Really? Which one?
My Ang and Agi story.
What?
Yes, they didn't have to die. They grew old together.
Very funny. You won't get it.
Hey, because of you, we forgot to welcome our wonderful audience.
Oops, sorry.
Your Royal Highness Aji Sonam Dichenwanchu, Honorable Lenchin, Lempos, respected guests, principals, teachers. I Pintogasu Yintin.
And myself, Sonam Chini Drama, are your hosts for this evening.
As you can see, we have a fan of Shakespeare, and she is trying to convince me and trying really hard in making me fall in love with Shakespeare as well. Keep trying, my dear.
Wait a minute, have you ever read any Shakespeare plays?
No.
Any sonnets?
Nope.
Watched any Shakespeare plays?
Never.
Any Shakespeare movies?
I'm afraid not.
Then how can you form a judgment about it? At least give it a try. Now that's the reason I ensured he is here today, co-hosting with me, so that I can put some sense in his head.
Excuse me.
I mean, introduce you to Shakespeare. And trust me, you are going to thank me at the end.
Well, okay, now that I'm here and you have such a wonderful, warm, loving audience, why not? No harm in trying.
That's the first step, my friends, trying it out. No matter what it is, only then we can be inspired.
So without much ado, we request our honorable and dearest Sherik Lempo to share his visions, his thoughts and his feelings in today's event and inspire us. Please give a big round of applause for our Minister of Education, Lempo Norbu Wanchu.
Ajisalam Dechinwanchu, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you all. We are such stuff that dreams are made on, and our little life is rounded with a sleep. Hence, we must strive to achieve something greater than beyond our personal gain, something that would matter even after we leave this earth to dusty death. We must find something special in what we do and make everything we do something special. Hence, here we are today. This is indeed a special occasion, one that marks a new beginning for education in Bhutan. It may be taken lightly as Shakespeare is back in the syllabus, or it can be celebrated as, wow, Shakespeare is back in the syllabus. But the question is, why this should be a big deal? And I urge everyone to think, why this shouldn't be a big deal. A lot of us here have grown up learning Shakespeare, and we know its worth. We know what it has done for us. Shakespeare has kindled the Romeo and Juliet in us, taught us the passion of loving and being loved, warned us about the over-ambitious Macbeth, froze the Brutus, the betrayer in us, inspired duty and integrity, thwarted the vengeful Shylock in us, provoked the kind-hearted friend Antonio in us, showed us we can be a bundle of good and bad. It's the choice of playing which part that is important. And we are all indeed on the stage playing our parts. If you are playing the good character, we have taken heed to Shakespeare. If you are playing the bad character, we have to study Shakespeare more. Shakespeare teaches us about life and living. That is where Shakespeare and education merges. Education ultimately also is learning to live a good life. As teachers, parents, educationists, we must make education seem like learning a song, dancing a step or two, or playing a musical note. Shakespeare's plays are a wonderful medium to inspire the author, the poet, the dancer, the painter, and the philosopher in our children. In order to be successful, Shakespeare said, know more than other, work more than other, expect less than other. To know more, we must read more, learn more, listen more, observe more. To work more, we need dedication, perseverance, consistency, and passion. And when we do all of these, there is no need of expectation, because we would have learned more, done more, and become more. Today marks an important day, not only because we are launching Shakespeare, but also because we are starting a new movement in the field of performing arts in our schools. All the world's a stage, and all men and women merely players. We must ensure Bhutan's story is played out well. Such a story needs many players, just as we need doctors, engineers, scientists, entrepreneurs. We need authors, dancers, poets, painters, and storytellers. So what's the name of Bhutan's story? Well, what's in a name? That which we call rose by any other name would smell as sweet. But a story that will be retold by every new generation of Bhutanese. How a selfless king and a proud citizenry worked diligently, lived creatively, dreamed compassionately, and kept this tiny nation happy and prosperous forever and ever. For such a story to be told, you and I and every Bhutanese must also read more, learn more, dance more, paint more, and when we do get a chance, grab an opportunity and take on a chance. Take a task we have never done before. After all, tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, out, brief candle. Life is but a walking shadow, a poor play that struts and frets is on the stage and then is heard no more. It's a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Gotcha.
Truly inspiring words of Lempo.
Oh, by the way, did you like the stage setting and the mood created for today?
Interesting. Yeah, it's unique. But the size of this book is a bit abnormal.
Gasu, you are just allergic to books. Size doesn't matter.
True that. But on a serious note, this is interesting. What's it for though?
What do you mean, what's it for? It's for the event. We have a special performance on the Merchant of Venice.
Really? How exciting.
Gasu!
Sorry. You're saying something about a performance. Who is performing? Who are the participants?
Oh, all of today's participants are our friends. Students from different schools around Thimphu.
Oh, yes, I heard about it. I think a team went around Thimphu schools and selected the most dedicated students to put up today's show.
Yes, this is an encouraging and promising start. Thank you, Sherry Glempo, for having a vision for us and for starting such projects.
I think I should go backstage and find out how was their experience.
Oh, don't worry about that. We have a short film on behind the scenes of today's performing arts events. What we see here today is hard work of many days. So let's see how this was all put together.
why Shakespeare in our schools? But even after 400 years, Shakespeare is still very fresh. And I think Shakespeare has everything to offer to each new generation. Through his timeless plays, complex characters that he has created, and his intriguing plots, teaches us about life and living. And education is, after all, learning to live a good life. And therefore, curriculum without Shakespeare's plays would be an incomplete curriculum. Shakespeare's plays also brings along performing arts in our schools. I can see performing arts thriving as part of a learning culture in our schools. And that is why we need to welcome Shakespeare into our schools.
Life won't always turn out as you like it. Life will sometimes be cruel to be kind. Whatever you believe, wear your heart on your sleeve again. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Be great in act as you
happened? Why are you sneezing all of a sudden?
After watching the film, I got an allergy.
What are you allergic to?
Hard work.
Gasu.
Sonam, on a serious note, this is amazing and amazing to see the entire team and the number of people involved in this project. What happened?
Did you feel it? Did you feel it too?
Feel what?
I felt something
Someone.
touch me. Isn't it strange?
Come on, don't be ridiculous. Why don't we just go out and go for a stroll? It's kind of getting hot in here.
Just sit with it. We forgot to announce the next program for the evening.
Oh no, Sonam, you should have reminded me. Okay, let's do it from here.
Our next performance is called The Bard of Avon, and it's an adaptation on The Merchant of Venice, but with a twist.
Yes, expect the unexpected.
The show is an amalgamation of Shakespearean-style recitation with a shadow theater narration and, of course, something spooky.
Oh my god, I feel it again. Before I see a ghost, let's get out of here.
Presenting The Bard of Avon.
Oh dear. I wasn't expecting you all this early. Nevertheless, better 3 hours too soon than a minute too late. You know, sometimes I really do feel a little stuck in the books. Shakespeare poems, Shakespeare plays. Read them, they say. Study them. Study them? Ha! Boring! You can't study Shakespeare. You have to feel Shakespeare. It has to be felt with the heart. The language has to flow like music. And then, and only then, can you truly know Shakespeare. What say? Yes? No? You agree with me? Shakespeare needs to be felt with the heart? Yes? No? Yes. Ah, thank you. Great. Excellent. But I must express my gratitude. I'm thrilled, absolutely thrilled. I hear you're having me back in your textbooks, and that is so. I saw that. I saw you. I saw that look on your face the moment I said textbook. Somebody here doesn't like me. Somebody is not too happy. Oh, but relax, it'll be fine. You know, the secret to appreciating Shakespeare is to not fear Shakespeare. Don't fear it, La. Did I just say La? Just brushing up on my Zonkala. Thage la mingo? Right. Now, love me or hate me. Both work in my favor. If you love me, I will always be in your heart. And if you hate me, I will always be in your head. Oh, what's this now? The complete plays of Shakespeare. How could you possibly have all 37 of my plays in one volume? Oh, so this is how you do it now. But think about it. What is Shakespeare all about? They're just simple stories. Well, probably not so simple, a little complex perhaps, but the characters. You have to study the characters because they're all around us and they're timeless. For example, the character of Hamlet, you might think, is a work of fiction. But oh no, Hamlet is as real as you or me, and may in fact be sitting here in this very audience. In fact, there may be many Hamlets here in this audience. Yes, Hamlet is a hero. He is enigmatic, but he also gets angry. And he feels depressed and dejected, like any one of us. Any one of us. See, the historical period, the era may be any, but I assure you there is no work of mine that you cannot relate to yourself or with times now. We are all in the same game, just different levels, dealing with the same hell, just different devils. Good line? Good line? I wrote it. But let me now tell you a story. The story of the Merchant of Venice. I hear that's one of the texts you will be exploring. But let me now think about how I should tell you the story. If I were to narrate every line, recite every verse, every act, that would take an awfully long time. So let me quickly tell you the summary, the plot. Arrangements, please. Arrangements. Arrangements. Thank you. Now, you've all heard me say this before. All the world's a stage, and all men and women, players. They have their exits and their entrances. And every man in his time must play many parts. And that is why I love the stage. Now, many of you probably don't know, but before my walk to fame as a poet and a playwright, I struggled on stage as an actor. And that is why I love that stage. So trust me, I was nervous up there. Oh, mademoiselle, you are a delight to the eye. How about a cup of tea after we're done from here? Well, what can I say? An artist falls in love 3 times a day. Oh, I see the stage is set for the Merchant of Venice. So, Antonio, are you ready? Bassanio, here I come then. Just a second while I check up on them. This is the story of the Merchant of Venice. A young Venetian, Bassanio, needs a loan of 300 ducats, 3,000 ducats, so that he can woo Portia, a wealthy Venetian heiress. He approaches his friend Antonio, a merchant. Antonio is short of money because all his wealth is invested in his ships, which are currently at sea. He takes Bassanio to a Jewish moneylender, Shylock. But Shylock hates Antonio because of Antonio's anti-Semitic behavior towards him. Shylock nevertheless agrees to make the short-term loan, but to take revenge, he makes a condition. The loan must be repaid in 3 months, or he will cut a pound of flesh from Antonio. Antonio agrees, confident that his ships will return in time. Bassanio is not happy with this arrangement. Meanwhile, in Belmont, Portia expresses to Nerissa that though she loved her father, she is unhappy with the will he has left behind. According to the will, all the contenders who wish to marry Portia must choose from among 3 caskets, one of which contains a portrait of her. The caskets are made of gold, silver, and lead. The Prince of Morocco and the Prince of Aragon both choose the wrong caskets. They fail the test and are rejected. Portia dances with joy with her friend Nerissa, as she doesn't like either of them, but she has a soft corner for Bassanio, who she has met before. Bassanio prepares to travel to Belmont for the test. His friend Gratiano too accompanies him. Meanwhile, his friend Lorenzo elopes with Shylock's daughter Jessica. That makes Shylock angrier. In Belmont, Bassanio chooses the lead casket, which contains her picture, and Portia happily agrees to marry him immediately. Nerissa too falls in love with Gratiano and decides to get married as well. Rings are exchanged, and celebrations begin. Meanwhile, 2 of Antonio's ships have been wrecked, and Shylock is ready to take revenge. Word comes to Bassanio about Antonio's predicament. And he hurries back to Venice, leaving Portia behind. Portia follows him. Accompanied by her maid, Nerissa. They are disguised as a male lawyer and his clerk. When Bassanio arrives, the date for repayment to Shylock has passed, and Shylock is demanding his pound of flesh. Even when Bassanio offers much more than the amount in repayment, Shylock, now infuriated by the loss of his daughter, is intent on seeking revenge. The Duke refuses to intervene, but Portia arrives in her disguise to defend Antonio, given the authority of judgment by the Duke. After referring to the contract, Portia decides that Shylock can have the pound of flesh. But as Shylock proceeds, Portia stops him and warns him that he can have the pound of flesh, but not a single drop of blood, as there is no mention of blood in the contract and only of the flesh. Since it is obvious that to draw a pound of flesh, blood will be shed and it would kill Antonio, Shylock is denied his suit. Moreover, for conspiring to murder a Venetian citizen, Portia orders that he should forfeit all his wealth. Half is to go to Venice and half to Antonio. Antonio gives his half back to Shylock on the condition that Shylock bequeaths it to his disinherited daughter, Jessica. A broken Shylock accepts. Bassanio, who was extremely happy with the